I've been using Archidekt for over 3 years now, but Moxfield has finally reached the point where I'm ready to switch. By the end of this video, you'll know whether Archidekt or Moxfield is a better choice for you and why. You'll learn some tips on using these deck builders, and you'll learn why I made the decision to switch. Archidekt and Moxfield are great options, and the developers of both are amazing. Whichever choice you make will be a good one, unless you choose tapped out. I've talked to the developers from both sites, and I've made many suggestions and improvements to the sites. It just comes down to preference and which features you care about. I love the fact that there are two sites that are in fierce competition. It means that they have to constantly keep updating. And they do. It's going to be hard to make a fair decision about the deck builders unless you hear the full story, so please watch the video to the end. One of the biggest reasons people will use Moxfield is mobile. Archidekt simply does not work very well on mobile, but Moxfield works great. If you plan on doing a significant amount of your brewing on your phone, I simply can't recommend using Archidekt. It's just not good enough on mobile. But let's start to compare some of the biggest features. The biggest reason I switched to Moxfield is because of hotkeys. Archidekt has a few hotkeys. You can hit enter or escape to open or close the search panel, and you can hit enter to search your search. But that's it. There are several playtester shortcuts on both sites, but I'm not going to be listing these. Moxfield is a lot better, and there's a web page of shortcuts. You can hit Alt-1 to add one of a card that your mouse is hovering over, or Alt-2 to remove one of a card that your mouse is hovering over. You can shift-click to change the tags of a card, and you can Control-Shift-Click or Command-Shift-Click to change the addition of a card. You can hit backslash to highlight the search so you can type in it, and you can hit Shift-Enter to clear the search and add the first result to your deck. You can hit escape to close just about any menu. Next is history. Archidekt has an undo and a redo button, and recently deleted. The memory for these three features will be reset when you close the tab or reload the page. You can re-add cards to your list using the recently deleted page. Moxfield has a history page which is saved on their servers, so it will stay if you reload the page or close the tab. But there's no undo or redo button, and there's no way you can add cards back when you're looking at the history page. You'll have to manually add the card. With packages, Moxfield really needs an undo button, and re-adding cards is an essential part of history. Archidekt's implementation just works a lot better. Archidekt can be very buggy. There's one major bug that affects just about every user that uses the site. If you import a card into your list through deck edit, and that card is already in your list, it will display two of those cards and generally cause a lot of glitchy behavior. To fix this, remove the duplicated cards from the list, save the deck, and reload the page. This is extremely annoying to deal with, and for some reason or another, the Archidekt team just can't figure out how to fix it. I've done a good amount of testing on Moxfield and encountered a few bugs, but I really can't complain about any of them because they were fixed extremely quickly. If you encounter a bug on Moxfield, just report it in their Discord server, and Harry or John will see it, fix it, and update the site. I haven't personally gotten any bugs that weren't fixed within less than an hour, which is insane. Not all bugs will be fixed so quickly. There's also a known issues section, but these issues are small and rare to run into. Let's talk about responsiveness. Here's the thing, unless you're a patron, Archidekt and or Moxfield don't owe anything to you. They're responding out of kindness and because they want to make their sites better. And you should report bugs and request features with the same thing in mind. I've already talked about Moxfield a bit. You report bugs and request features in the Discord server. If it's a bug, Harry or John will respond and get it fixed. If it's a feature, you can put it into the suggestion page and people will vote on it. Some of the most upvoted suggestions will then get implemented. Make sure to clearly explain the concept when you're suggesting it. Harry also watches my Moxfield related videos and implements most features that I ask for in them, which is just amazing. The results of the search also take up way too much space, and if you want to leave the search to check something in your deck, then go back to the search, it will have scrolled you to the top. If you're willing to put in some time, you can make improvements to Moxfield. On Archidekt, you make a post on the forums, and you'll get a response from Michael or Jeremy within about a day. They respond to all posts. Most of the time your bug will be fixed within a few days, but I have several months-old bug reports that remain unfixed. They do implement suggestions from users, although it's rare. It's honestly an amazing service, it just can't compete with Moxfield. Packages are a Moxfield exclusive feature, which allows you to add all cards from a list to a deck. If it's a commander deck, it will only add the cards in the color identity. You can make your own packages or subscribe to other people's packages. Speaking of subscribing, I would greatly appreciate it. Both Archidekt and Moxfield have a way to search cards within your deck. Archidekt has filter deck and Moxfield has the highlighter. On Archidekt, you just type in Scryfall syntax and it will only show cards matching that syntax in your deck. If you don't know Scryfall syntax, you can watch this video. If nothing matches, it will just show the whole deck. You can also delete the search to just show the whole deck again. On Moxfield, you can expand the highlighter and fill out these boxes how you want. Moxfield will add a glow around the border of the cards that match those criteria. I prefer Archidekt's implementation because you still need to look around a bit on Moxfield to find the cards, and you get more control with Archidekt. But if you don't know Scryfall syntax, then the highlighter will be much more useful to you. But you can just watch this video to learn Scryfall syntax. But I know that I'll miss Archidekt's search during the transition. If you want to make a primer, then Moxfield is the way to go. Archidekt has deck descriptions, so technically you can make a primer. But Moxfield has incredible support. You can set your deck as a primer by clicking here. It's based on Markdown with several things added on top. You can add cards in your description on both sites, type in the card name here on Archidekt, and surround the exact card name with brackets on Moxfield. A more detailed description for Moxfield is linked in the description, but the capabilities are extremely powerful and extremely useful. Next is categories. On Archidekt, you can modify categories by opening the menu and adding categories. You can have one starred category and change it by starring another. You can also drag cards across categories. This will replace the current starred category with the one you're dragging it to and star that category. There are a lot of options of how to display your cards. Categories will show each card in its starred category, and multiple will show each card in its starred category at full opacity, and cards in unstarred categories at partial opacity. There's also labels, which change the color of the corner of the cards. You can add colors and names for these and sort by label as well. It's basically another separate layer of categories. Moxfield has tags. You can edit a card's tags by shift-clicking a card or clicking tags in this menu. And you can drag cards across categories to add that tag to a card. There are deck-specific tags and global tags. If I give Soul Ring the global tag of ramp, it will put Soul Ring in the ramp category for every single deck I have. Deck-specific tags will only affect the deck you're working on. So if I give Soul Ring the deck-specific tag of ramp, it will be in the ramp category for that deck, but not any of my others. And if you make deck-specific tags and global tags of the same name, it will group them together, which is amazing. For both Archidekt and Moxfield, unsorted cards are sorted into type. Archidekt also has a few more options on how to categorize and sort your categories than Moxfield, which can be useful. The edhrec pages on Archidekt and Moxfield are very similar. Both Archidekt and Moxfield won't show cards that are already in the deck in the edhrec tab, but for Archidekt, that status will only update when you reload the site. So if you see lots of cards that are already in your deck, just reload. Archidekt also has the Played Together tab, and you can see cards played with a specific card or with your entire deck. Comparing decks is a Moxfield exclusive feature. It's hard to complain considering that no other deck builders have a similar feature, but I feel like it has so much potential that it just doesn't fulfill. For one, you can't read cards without clicking them, which can be quite annoying. Secondly, you can't add individual cards into your decks. There should be a plus symbol on cards if you own any of the decks. That way you can easily add cards into your deck while you're comparing them. This would be an extremely useful feature, and I personally think it's the most important thing for Moxfield to implement. Update to Cheapest is a Moxfield exclusive feature which takes all your cards and turns them into the cheapest version. It is fairly buggy, but it works pretty well, and it can help make your prices much more accurate. Design and UI. Design comes mostly down to personal preference, and you can change the views on Moxfield with this button. Choose from text, visual grid, and visual stacks. On Archidekt, you can choose between text and image. The Salt Sum is an Archidekt exclusive feature that adds up the salt scores for every card in your deck. The Salt Sum isn't really an accurate measure of how salty or powerful your deck is, so take these numbers with a grain of salt. But it is a fun feature. Archidekt has had collections for a long time, and Moxfield added them about 2 weeks ago. So there are several features on Moxfield that just haven't been added yet. Archidekt has a stats page. You can see statistics about your collection. Moxfield doesn't really have that. You can see a couple details along the bottom of the page, but you just don't get as much detail. On Archidekt, you can see a line with all the decks that a specific card is in, but on Moxfield, you must click Show Decks to see if a card is in any of your decks. Within decks on Archidekt, you can see a green line on the corner of cards if that exact card with that exact edition is in your collection, and a blue line if you have that card in a different edition in your collection. You can enable the tracker for your collection on Moxfield and see these check marks. No check mark means it's not in your collection, gray means it's in your collection but in a different edition, and blue means it's in your collection in the same edition. You can easily add decks to your collection from both sites and specific cards. Both Moxfield and Archidekt can search your collection, but only by name, not by scribe-file syntax, which is sad. Currently, Archidekt's collection works better. Searching cards is very similar on Moxfield and Archidekt. They are both scribe-file based. On Moxfield, you can hit backslash to highlight the search bar and fill it with scribe-file syntax. You can learn syntax by watching this video. You can also just type in card name. You can click on one of these suggested cards and it will add it to your deck and wipe the search bar. Or you can hit enter to see all the results and add cards from there. You can also hit shift enter to add the first result of a search to your deck, and it will show which card it added along the bottom of the screen. You can also use the advanced search and it will convert that to scribe-file syntax for you. The combination of hotkeys is super powerful and it really helps. Archidekt is similar. You can hit enter or this button to open up the search panel and escape to close the search panel. You can search for card names here, or you can open this up for advanced search. You can switch to this panel for scribe-file syntax. You can hit enter or the search button once you've set up your search, and add the relevant cards by clicking plus. I wish this box allowed scribe-file syntax, and that the advanced search would output into this box, and that you could use backslash to highlight this text box. Moxfield also gives you the option to make your decks unlisted, so only people with the link will be able to see it. And both sites give you control over how people will see the list if they click the link. Both sites have deck search that will allow you to search all public decks on that site, and allow you to search by card name, commander, format, color, and deck name. I wish you could search by deck price, but unfortunately neither site has that option. Proxies are a Moxfield exclusive feature, so you can print out your deck. I'm a supporter of proxying out your decks, and this is a great resource to do so. Playtestproxies.com is also a good resource for printing out cards. Tokens are also Moxfield exclusive, and it's nice to see which tokens you need. It's a slightly buggy feature, but it's usually pretty accurate. You can see the subtype counts if you hover over the type counts for your deck on Moxfield, which can be quite nice. And decks with the same commander are at the bottom of the page, so you don't have to necessarily use deck search. You may just want to stick with what you're already using. I mean, you wouldn't have to learn a new site, and you wouldn't have to transfer your decks over. Moxfield has URL importing, so it's super easy to move decks from Archidekt to Moxfield. It only took me an hour to move my 144 decks from Archidekt to to Moxfield. Although I did lose my categories and descriptions. It's really not as bad as you'd think moving things over. I have 2 monitors on a computer, so if you're on mobile or have 1 monitor, it might take a little bit longer, but it still shouldn't be too bad. Transferring over your collection is also super easy on either site. It should take less than 5 minutes. Learning a new site can be difficult, but they're a lot more simple than you'd think. So which one should you use? Honestly, it just depends on what you prioritize. If you want to create primers, compare decks, have access to more hotkeys, use it on mobile, or create proxies, Moxfield is for you. If you want more control on the edhrec tab, better history, and a better collection feature, then Archidekt is for you. I fully expect that updates to either site will make this video inaccurate, and I will update the description to let you know what changes have been made. If it gets bad enough, I will add a disclaimer that this video is no longer relevant. I highly recommend that you check the description because I can't see the future. 1. Like, subscribe, and watch one of these videos depending on which deck builder you decide on.